Okay, so in question number 9, we still have the same information, but now we're going to use a second method, basically contribution margin and contribution rates, to find the break-even point. So basically a second method to do the exact same thing we were doing in the previous questions. So Catherine is planning to sell wedding cakes. To make the cakes, she must invest $1,600 in some special baking tools. So fixed cost is $1,600. And then she needs to also spend $4,910 to advertise. So her total fixed cost is $6,510. She estimates that supplies and material for each cake will cost $490. So my cost per unit is $490, and she's planning to set the selling price for each cake at $800. So same variables we had in the previous question, we're just going to be doing a different method to solve now. A part says find the contribution margin. So contribution margin is just selling price per unit minus cost per unit. So in this case it's 490, 800 minus 490, which is $310. Contribution rate is just contribution margin over selling price times 100. So your contribution margin is 310. We found that in the previous part. Your selling price is 800. That's given in the question, and we multiply by 100. That's going to give me 38.75%. Now C part, compute the break-even point in units. So break-even units is just fixed cost over contribution margin. My fixed cost 6,510. My contribution margin 310. If I do that calculation, I get 21 units to break even. And then D part, find the break-even sales. Break-even sales is just fixed cost over contribution rate. So fixed cost is 6,510. My contribution rate, which I found over here, I have to write it always as a decimal. So make sure you divide that percentage by 100 before putting it in this equation. If I do this calculation, I get my break-even sales to be $16,800. Same thing in question number 10, just a slight difference, but exact same idea. To pay for his academic fees, Tariq, a college student, is selling computer accessories to other students. His cost to purchase each piece, so cost per unit, is $70. Selling price for each one is $98. Fixed costs $380. A part, find the contribution margin. So contribution margin is just S minus C, so 98 minus 70, which is $28. B part, find the contribution rate. Contribution rate is just contribution margin over selling price times 100, so 28 over 98 times 100, which is 28.57%. C part, find the break-even units. So break-even units is just fixed cost over contribution margin, which is 380 over 28. And if I do that calculation, I get 13.57. Now it's impossible for me to sell 13.57 accessories. So whatever number you get here, if it's a decimal, you have to always round your break-even units up. So if I'm going to round this up, it's going to be 14 units to break even. You can never ever round break-even units down, because if you round this down to 13, you're still at a loss. You've never broken even. So make sure that you always round up no matter what you get here. And then if you round your break-even units, you can no longer use break-even sales equals to fixed cost over contribution rate. This equation becomes invalid if you ever have to round this. Instead, you have to do the algebra method. So my total revenue is equal to S times N. That's the algebra method for your revenue equation. My selling price per unit is 98. I know I've sold 14 units to break even. That's going to give me my solution of $1372.